if you simply do these 4 things a day, I'd write it off as a successful day.
What's a successful day to you, Ashley?
Doing these 4 things.
Let's find out what that means.
Mama Says Namaste. Mama Says Namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh, yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama Says Namaste.
What do you think it requires to have a successful, happy day, Ashley?
Well, I think there are 4 little tips that work well. So before we dive into what those 4 tips are, I want to just kind of share a little bit about our life. Our lifestyle is very different than a lot of you that are listening. However, a lot of the practices that we do can still work in your life. I feel like sometimes we can look at something that's very different than our own lives and say, well, that's the exception. Well, they've got it all figured out and this happened or they're so lucky. And, even this morning we were watching The Strangest Secret. So my father's business, 48 Days, that I help run, our Eagles community, it's a bunch of people that are together for activating dreams, looking at dreaming together to create the life that they thrive in. And we are going together for the month of September through The Strangest Secret. The Strangest Secret was a speech by Earl Nightingale. I don't even remember how long ago it was.
We should know by now. We've listened to it a couple times.
I know. So they do this thing. They do a Strangest Secret challenge every September where we all go through the Strangest Secret every day. It's a 30-minute message. And it ultimately boils down to you become what you think about. That's the Strangest Secret. You become what you think about. And in the message, he talks about, what success really looks like. And for Earl Nightingale, he talks about success is the realization of a worthy ideal.
Yeah.
Is the
progression towards the realization of a worthy ideal.
There you go. Success is the progression toward the realization of a worthy ideal. And so for our family, the big change for us and for where we wanted to move forward and everything else, and kind of that opened the door to all of the out-of-the-box thinking, was really us defining success for our family, defining what did we want that to look like, and what did we like, what could be checked off as a successful day, you know, for my high D approach here. How can I check off and accomplish something? And so when I think about what we're talking about today, these 4 tips for a successful day, let's say that's what it is. There you go. 4 tips for a successful day. I think about this is because we've worked to define success for us, and the success for our family, by definition, really, I guess, boils down to what our family vision is. And that is something that we did and we developed with our girls when they were very young. We sat down, we brainstormed with them all the ideas of what family meant to us, and we boiled it down to 6 words. And it was, and I will say that's it's all encapsulated inside the family team. So we as a team believe that our goals and desires in this world are to explore, respect, listen, connect, learn, and love. And so we use that as a barometer for everything we do. So right now our family is volunteering down in the Florida Keys. We have been RVing the country for full time since 2016, and in 2021 we added volunteering to the mix, and we started volunteering with the Florida State Parks. And so far we've just done Florida, although we are very open to other states and are looking at that as well. But we've been in Florida and have spent really since 2021, the majority of our time has either been volunteering or staying at our second investment home that we got in 2020, which is in Venice, Florida. And so we've stayed for few months at a time there and bounced around doing volunteering since 2021. And we are here in Big Pine Key, Florida for the next 3 months. And
2.5 at this point, baby. Time is flying.
I know, it really has. And so so that's where we're at now in our lives. And so I'll share these examples of what things we're doing right now. And you may not be living in the Florida Keys in September right now.
Which is hot.
Yes. But these are things that you can bring into your own home wherever you are, and look at how you're going to define success for your family. Maybe the first thing you do is you think about, have you talked as a family as to what your dreams and desires are as a family? And have you done something like a family vision? I'll have a link to it in the blog that goes along with this week's episode, where you can click through and work on your own family vision, so that you know, what are those words? You know, what does success look like? Does success mean peace and calm and serenity in your home? Or is success mean, boisterous, loud, free form fun?
Well, I was talking to the girls about this on our walk of aimlessness around the island today. And we were discussing the strangest secret, and how, the ideas of wealth and how, to me, the strangest secret is great. It's very much I describe it as like a kindergarten, like a kiddie pool version of manifestation. It's very much ego and me centered in a way. Not so much, but not completely. But it's like, what do you want to get, and how can you get it?
Well, it's very understandable for somebody at any level,
right.
And so it's a great first step of understanding, the power of our own mind.
And I was talking to the girls just how we have adjusted that concept of wealth, and how we're looking at, we were strategizing, the girls and I, on how we could bring more money into the household, and what we would use that money for, what the purpose of that money would be. And we don't always talk about that as a family. We don't always talk about, we just need this lifestyle. Yes, that's part of it. But, how are you using these treasures that you're gathering up every single day? And is it a worthwhile endeavor? We talk about and explore the depths of wealth. What does that look like? I've got, I was telling them, when I was a banker, I would work with guys that had worked and scratched and saved their whole life and given up so much their whole life, and were finally ready to retire, and they were moving their accounts and getting things settled and getting things ready. And I'd ask them what they wanted to do with their newfound freedom. And, they want to just get away from everybody and relax. And, it's so easy to just kind of recognize that sometimes, those dreams that we have, they can send us in, they can lead us in one direction and maybe our heart somewhere else, and to pay attention to what that true wealth might really be. It might not be $1 million in the bank. It might be 1 million minutes of time with your family.
Yeah. Yeah, we cringe now, and it's something I personally struggle with, of putting off fun until everything is done. I struggle with this on a daily basis of making, need to make sure the house is spotless and all of my tasks are accomplished before I rest. And Nathan checks me on this regularly and reminds me that, it's okay to do the rest in between, because it helps me to recharge and be able to continue going. But we've seen people that have done this throughout their lives. Keep your head down, muscle through. As soon as they get to retirement, then I will enjoy life.
I was heading down that path. I mean, there's certainly, I think to some point there's value in that path, because it gets you running in a direction. And once you get your hands close to or to the top of that dream, you might realize that might not be a dream that you really want.
Well, I think the one thing for that, though, is that yes, you can do that and work toward retirement, and that is fine. I also feel like we have to have wins longer or shorter term than a 30-year plan. And so when you say, I'm going to just keep hustling and enduring just to, get my retirement, get my pension, whatever, get my Social Security check, so now I can sit back and relax. Probably not going to be from the Social Security check. But anyway, instead of waiting until that point, if you wait until that point, oftentimes you've forgotten how to relax. And that's what I'm getting at is if your whole life, all your habits for 10, 15, 20, 30 years are repeat of drudgery, repeat of cynicism, of the broken script of how much you hate your life, there's not a switch that you flip that is going to make you all of a sudden love your life in retirement and know what the heck to do with yourself when all you've done is complain for 20 years. And so we look for these little recharges. And I guess right now we're hopping into our points. So let's just go to our points because some of the stuff we're talking about is in it. But I wanted to just kind of share a little bit about us as well for those of you who may be a new listener who maybe hasn't heard our story. And that's a super condensed one, but of course we want to get to the meat of the content today. And that is these 4 tips for a successful day. And what we do is instead of it being a strict schedule or especially in our lifestyle, because our schedule can vary so much when we are traveling and not stationary at one place. Our days, our weeks are vastly different because of us being in different locations. Even here, when we're down in the Florida Keys during hurricane season and volunteering, there are times we're called to help the park randomly. There are times we have to drop everything and move because of a hurricane. So our schedules are always changing. So we look for anchors in our day more than we look for these strict things. Very similar to looking at how much a diet oftentimes ends up failing somebody, whereas a food's lifestyle change can be something that can last for a long time.
Yes.
So for our tips, our first one is asking myself, how did I learn? What did I learn
today? And that can be a variety of things. That can be picking up a book and learning something you didn't know. That could be exploring what it's like for you to just go and go for a walk by yourself and be with yourself for 45 minutes and not think of anything.
Silent walking. Yeah.
I mean, learning how to, try something other than the standard.
Well, I would say there's definitely times where, we've had trying days with our kids where maybe they were a toddler really struggling with something. And what we both learned at the end of the day was just how far we could push it. Or we learned,
was it worth pushing it?
Yeah, or we learned whether something was worth pushing it. And maybe the thing that we learned that day wasn't anything academic, but it was a valuable life lesson on what we didn't want. That's fine. The point is reflecting on it. If at the end of the day, can you check off these 4 things? The first one being, how did I learn today? Is there anything today that I can take from today that does not make me a victim of this moment, a victim of the past, or anything else, but moves me forward with one more insight that I can use to make a better step tomorrow?
Yeah, a better decision. And, we're just looking for that compounding effect of a little bit. I'm not saying like earth-shattering change, like, now I have nirvana. Now I can, function. Mm-hmm. It's not like that. I think that it's just it's me learning the ways to touch you in a way that calm and relieve stress. That can be something new that you learn throughout the day, or a way to connect with your kids that you hadn't tried before, like sitting down to a board game or card game. Mm-hmm. There's all types of new things that you can learn, but that just keeps life interesting. The more you keep that, keep searching for something new, it keeps that creativity kind of stirred up in your mind.
And there's value in actually stating what it was and not just assuming it kind of happened. It's just bringing awareness. I mean, that is so much of those first steps of mindfulness and meditation is just bringing awareness to something. You aren't going to, you can't take that fruit from it unless you're aware of it first. And so just reflecting on that and being able to say, yeah, I learned this today. One of the things that I added in a few years ago was reading again, because I'd gotten out of the habit of reading and I really wanted to bring it back in. And so I started reading every morning, and I do pretty consistently every morning. Minus Turtle Patrol days now. I haven't added it in when I'm doing early morning Turtle Patrols. But in my reading time, though, I can read a whole lot and not necessarily learn something new. And so I take the time to when something stands out, I'm bookmarking it, and I sometimes I'm reading it out loud to the family, or I'm discussing it later. I've got to try to do some other things to bring my awareness to the learning at hand.
Otherwise, you
versus
kind of
just
stay
kind
in
of
the drudgery of
going
your
through.
normal, making lunch,
Yeah.
answering the email,
Right.
balancing the checkbook, whatever the drudgery is. There's always, you can just your mind kind of just shuts off when you're doing that stuff sometimes.
Right. So what can I learn? Number 1. Number 2 in this is, at the end of the day, how did I contribute? How did I give back to the family? There is a great book by Adam Grant, Give and Take, that talks about givers, takers, and matchers. And we read that a long time ago, and kind of, again, brought to our awareness, which is the first step in anything, was just seeing the give and the take of life, and people that tend to be more takers, people that tend to be more givers, and those that tend to be matchers, and how that impacts you.
Yeah.
And so there are days, especially with our kiddos, where there can be a whole lot of take. And as a parent, that's just the reality of having children. Our children are going to take more. They're dependent on us. And they have, the younger they are, the needier they are. And so, yes, they are going to be takers a lot. And a big gift we can give them is to help them learn how to give as well. And learn how to give back and to contribute. And we've talked about this oftentimes on the podcast, that we're not just raising little kids that then flip that switch to become an adult. We're raising roommates now. They're living with us now. Now, they may not have the full maturity to understand, not going to the bathroom in their diaper or on the toilet seat and little things that they learn as they're growing up. But that doesn't mean that they are incapable of showing respect for others in the household. And that means contributing to household tasks. Everybody messes up the bathroom. So who's going to be the one that's going to clean it? Everybody messes up the kitchen and the living room. So who's going to be the one to clean it? Well,
and
we all
moms
have to
and
contribute.
dads, you do a huge disservice by swooping in and doing it for them because they're doing their homework and doing the things that they should be, or playing and enjoying their friends, or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of times we're about to walk out the door and go do something fun, and I look over the kitchen and I say, never mind.
Yep.
If y'all can squeeze this puppy in the next 7 minutes and get it knocked out, we can all do it together. Otherwise, it's a solo trip. And boom, they get it knocked out. Mm-hmm. But that's just by practice. We start talking to them about being a roommate, giving back, the value of filling our cup. It was funny that one of the things that I took the 2 older girls for a walk this morning, and one of the things they were discussing was how powerful it is, and Ellie was kind of recognizing how beneficial it is to give us our space and freedom, because they get so much more, and they don't they don't realize it until 2 years later. But Clara was like, you understand, like, if you let them go and cook up all these ideas, we get to go play in all these ideas they cook up, and it's been pretty juicy. So I think we ought to give them some room. And so it just it's fun to see how they're understanding the contributions and the give and take of a relationship in a life. And listen, parents, you got to understand that your kids are learning how to live with people in a family. And this is training ground for that. And so you want them to be, contributing members to society, not just some sultan that needs to be waited on all the time.
And honestly, your kids can oftentimes end up being really proud of what it is that they've done.
Absolutely.
We've had kids very thrilled to show off their spotless closet, or the hard work they did weeding in the garden, or the amazing meal that they made, because we gave them the opportunity to try.
Yeah. And when they see behavior that's, sorry, I mean to interrupt you, but when they see behavior that's, counter to that's more destructive in another child, a lot of times they say, man, that's no way to get what you want.
Right.
They see that throwing a temper tantrum isn't a win.
Right. It's fun to see them coach other kiddos with it now.
Yes,
in a way that's hopefully not too judgy. They tend to step in side by side pretty well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to help them learn how to contribute, so they are a proud teammate in this home. And so we do that based on age. I mean, we're way more on top of this right now with our kids, because our kids are 10, 13, and 16. When our kids were small, I mean, there were days it was a survival day, and we learned how to survive that day. And there were days that there was absolutely no contribution by them. There was barely any contribution by us. That's
Right.
okay. This is looking at where you are, what season of life you're in, and how you're going to get to the next step. If you're feeling like you're stuck, if you're feeling like you're in a rut, that's where listening to these podcasts can give you one little action step, one little thing to do that can move you out of being stuck and move you into a next season, and hopefully a season with lots of joy.
Yep.
And
Looking
connection.
for a way to help somebody else is a great way to get out of your own head.
Yes. How did I learn? How did I contribute? How did I find joy? Finding
What
joy
is that?
can be completely on your own. It can be with your whole family. It can be with individuals in the family.
It's one of my favorite questions to ask another man.
Mm.
What do you do for fun? What brings you joy? And the stupid
Deer in the
look on their
headlights.
face is like, I've never been asked that. I don't know.
Huh.
I haven't really thought. I guess I golf. But that's a really important thing that I didn't really give a whole lot of credit to when I was a young man. Joy could be enjoyed when I was retiring. Right now was money-making time and time to be serious. And, I think that we oftentimes, when we ask older people that are in their twilight years, what would they go and do? It's usually be more bold and find more joy. Look for those joy sparks.
Yeah. Yeah. So we look at how are we going to find joy on a daily basis. Sometimes that's we stop everything and we go for a walk. Sometimes it's when we're out and about, just stopping and observing a plant or an animal and just watching it and marveling at the tiny, intricate detail that's on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's something silly. I mean, it could be sitting down and, I've said before, I've got a great Insta Reel feed. It's all set up for positivity and learning and everything, and funny, cute videos of kids and animals. And so sometimes we'll watch it and we'll share a funny one together and we'll laugh together.
Just taking a moment to relax and look for joy.
Yeah.
And I think that's really all you got to do is look for it.
Yep. Yeah. Look for it. And then, once you bring your awareness to it, if you don't see it, pretend to be it. I like that. Yeah. Bring your awareness to it and you'll end up getting more. Joy is contagious. And when you start looking for it, you'll find more of it.
There's a group in Venice, Florida, where we have a house that they do laughing yoga every weekend.
Yeah. Downtown.
I mean, you can't help but just laugh at and be joyful in that kind of experience. So, just looking for those sorts of things, it's fun. It keeps life light.
And then the last one is, how did I connect? And that's looking at how did I connect with multiple people here. Number one is what I'm most guilty of. How did I connect with myself? Have I stopped and stretched? Have I stopped and just checked in with my own breathing? Sat with my own mind, not my to-dos or anything else, but just sat with where I am or who I am. Or like you said, taking a walk without anything. That's been something that my dad and I have talked about recently, because he started doing this too, where just going for a walk and not having anything, not listening to a podcast or music, but just having silence. And I've had different challenges at different times where I've done that with running or walking or biking the other day. But doing that where not having anything with me, and how much more I notice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can get carried away in a podcast, and I can go for a walk and not see a single thing, even though I'm just listening.
Just the concrete in front of your feet.
Right. Yeah. You can zone out sometimes. So yeah, just being present and connected with myself is the first step. And then from there, how did I touch base and how did I connect with Nathan? And you're always, you'll remind me if I didn't give you a morning kiss. I mean, we start out our morning with a kiss.
And
we say hello. We look
Yes.
each other in the eyes. We acknowledge each other in the morning.
And if we forget, we're not mean about it. We just say, hey,
Hi.
I am not
Nice
said,
to meet you.
good morning. Right? But I think it brings just the lightheartedness. Like sometimes, in those moments, you're kind of caught up in a very serious character.
Yeah.
Doing the things that need to get done. I'm not saying that they don't need to happen.
Right.
But it's also one of those moments where is the devil really right behind your shoulder?
Right.
Are you really about to get eaten? Can you take a moment, 5 seconds, to say good morning and give a kiss to somebody? And we sometimes, I'm just as guilty of this, of marching into my exciting day of to-do lists, and the check. Well, I was. Ashley's looking at me like I don't have any exciting days. I do, but marching into a day of to-do lists, and I forget to kiss goodbye.
Yeah.
And, that's not the first. And so, you got to always make that moment to connect.
And that's the thing. Just remind yourself, how long does it really take to give your kid a hug? How long does it really take to give your husband or your wife or your partner a kiss?
Because let me tell you how long it'll feel if that person passes away while you're doing their big important thing.
Oh.
It'll feel like you wish it never happened. And
Oh,
so
that's such a gut check.
Yeah, it's a gut check, but it is a reality that is an important one to remember, that your last touch is your last touch.
Yep. So take the time to make sure you make connection.
Yeah.
And so those 4 things, simply looking at those 4 things, can you reflect back on your day at the end of the day and said, how did I? At the beginning of the day, think about, how can I get intentional about it? Because oftentimes if you're simply reflecting back, it's not going to happen. Or you're trying to fish for it and you don't really know where it happened. Be proactive and be intentional. If you haven't, really had a one-on-one with one of your kids in a while, maybe this is the day you wake up and you say, okay, how did I connect? My connection point today is I'm going to intentionally take some space to sit and talk with that child.
And for me, it's an inventory of my distractions. What's the time that I use that's, maybe more selfish, that's useless, that I can do other things with? Those are the areas that are low-hanging fruit that you can initially experiment with and just start to play with. Instead of, jumping on the phone to cruise Facebook or whatever, I'm going to stop and sit down and have a conversation, just check in with my kid. They can both take the same amount of time, 5 minutes, but one is profoundly different than the other. And one will leave you feeling way better with dopamine than the other, I promise.
It's really crazy, too, because we do 2-minute talkies with at one point we did 2-minute talkie time with our children, and we actually set a timer, and we were really strict on it. We don't really do that anymore.
They don't want to talk to me. They talk to me all day long at night.
At nighttime, though, I do usually still have a little bit of talkie time with each kid, and you can fit a lot into 2 minutes, and it really is like jam-packed. And again, not that I have a timer now, but I'd say we probably talk less than 2 minutes a lot of nights, yet it covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And I also recognize how 30 minutes can fly just sitting on your phone, scrolling.
Yes.
And so I look at that and I'm like, that's 30 minutes. I mean, the conversation that could have been had in that amount of time, can you take just 2 of those minutes?
I want to use this example. I was listening to Neil Tyson, the scientist.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about magnetism and how how magnets work and how time actually slows down the closer you are to a magnet. Like time on satellites is running faster than the time on the watches on Earth because we're closer to the gravitational pull. And they showed this example in what's the movie? Interstellar, where they go into the black hole. They're really close to gravitational pull. They were just doing their thing. They come back and it's been 15 years. For them, it was like 15 minutes, but it's 15 years for those people that are still on Earth. It's because of that gravitational pull. When you are present and grounded and you're with your people, that 2 minutes can last forever. But when you are away and you're ungrounded, that 30 minutes can be gone in a flash. Think about that.
Wow.
Think about the grounding effect of relationships and how time can almost stop when you're with somebody. But when you're on your phone, it can fly by because you're not with anyone.
Wow.
So take care of yourself. Ground
okay,
yourself.
we're gonna look up that video, and I'm gonna share it in the and we'll share it in the blog post.
Oh, good
too.
luck finding it. It was just on one of my threads. But
Oh, geez. Okay,
it
well,
was
we're gonna
some guy
try to
trying to convince him that magnets were used in some stupid video. It was stupid. But his example of that's what he was trying to turn. He's like, let me explain to you how magnets work. It's really fascinating.
That is just really that's a
how
great
magnetism changes.
So think about how grounded you are to your family. And so that's...
To your day.
Yeah. How grounded are you to your day? I love that. All right, so that's our challenge for you today is to look at that and look at how grounded are you to your day and how are you working these 4 tips in? How can you be intentional? If you're listening to this at the beginning of your day, set your intention now for these 4 areas. If it's at the end of the day, think about what you're going to do tomorrow and reflect back on today to see how well you've done. How did you learn? How did you contribute? How did you find joy? And how did you connect today to those ones that you love so dearly, where we all have celebrated how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.
1, 2, 3. Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be